Does it tell you that your heart is a fire? Oh yeah. And does it tell you that your pain is a liar? Oh yeah. Does it wash away all your unlove?
And welcome back, everyone. So as we head into Independence Day celebrations tomorrow, we are now joined online this morning with NALINI Dial, President of the Fireworks Sufferers Association, and we are going to be speaking about the impact of fireworks and, you know, the explosions that we do have for independence every year. Ms. Dial, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, too.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Well, Ms. Dial, let's deal with the issue head on. We are going to be celebrating our 61st anniversary of independence tomorrow, and with that, every year for independence comes with explosions, fireworks. What are your concerns this year, ma'am?
Well, our concern, and we represent all the people and the animals too who suffer because of the fireworks. Every year, we come back again with the same discussion about, one, the noise and disturbance of peace, and also the harm to people, harm to animals, harm to environment that the fireworks causes. And every year it's the same discussion.
Let's talk about the impact that it has had on the community. How is this affecting people in the community? How is this affecting animals? And I suspect other people and things are being affected also.
Okay, well, it affects. At first, we would talk about how it affects the animals.
Yes.
And now we have gone past that because it seems no government, and not only this one, any government before, doesn't really care about the harm to animals. So we are stressing now on the harm to people, human beings. And it affects the elderly, the children, they are traumatized. It affects even children who have autism and all these things. So we are looking at it from a human side now. And you are supposed to care about, people and how it affects their health and so on. And yet, to this day, our last consultation was last year, August. So you are looking at a year. And no word yet from the government. We had a meeting with the representatives from the AG's office. And not a word, no notice, nothing in print or anything as to what they have decided about the new draft that they want to bring to the bill, the fireworks bill.
But Ms. Dial, when you sit down with, let's say, members of the government or members of the ministry who are responsible for this, and you lay out your concerns to them, what is the response?
The response is terrible. Just yesterday I was talking to another activist, and the response coming from the minister, one of the ministers in the Ministry of Legal Affairs, Ms. Renuka Sagram Singh, her response is that fireworks is a part of our culture. Imagine that. So with that sort of logic, I don't know if they are encouraging a lawless behavior as part of our culture, because all the people who engage in fireworks are breaking the law. So is lawlessness a part of our culture now? And for her to, make that point, it's very, very careless and callous, very silly too.
Let's speak a little bit about the legislation, because I was reading a little bit about it too, and I think what stands out to me is that while the government is saying, look, something has to be done about the situation, but I think that there are troubling parts of the legislation when it comes to the use of the fireworks. And I'm seeing that, if I remember well, these, in some cases, permission is going to have to be given, licenses are going to have to be granted. However, on public holidays, I don't think that is what happens. So days such as Independence Day, Diwali, Old Year's night until New Year's
Carnival,
morning.
yeah. All till
right?
Carnival.
So it doesn't the legislation, although it tries to deal with fireworks, but some of the things that it is suggesting really flies in the face of what it is trying to do.
Exactly. Now, the permit that they're talking about, that is null and void, because the Summary Offences Act states you do need all these people who buy fireworks and use it. They are supposed to have a permit. So that's already there. So I don't know why they're bringing that into the equation. And the problem is now they want it to be used every public holiday. So instead of reducing the distress and so on that we are complaining about, you want to increase it on us. You want to make it worse. So how is that logic? How is that addressing our complaints? It's worse, you know. And the problem, of course, we always come back to enforcing the law. There's a part in the draft, they said that people will be ticketed. Who's going to give them this ticket? We come back again on the night of the celebration, whichever celebration it is, and people are setting off fireworks. No police. You can't even get the police to leave the station to go to check. And by the time they reach, the people may have finished with the fireworks. So who's going to get this ticket? How are you going to enforce that part of the law? All the stakeholders we had suggested at one time to compromise noiseless fireworks. But noiseless fireworks may be to us, to humans, but it still is noiseless to the animals and the birds and so on. And so we suggested also putting on a big public display out on a barge, out in the sea, like by the waterfront, you know, and people who like to see the fireworks and they could come and socialize and enjoy themselves. They know it will be put on there at a time and all of that. That we were still willing to compromise on that. But it is clear to us now, we are really fed up because this is going on just about 19 years or so, these discussions. It is clear that the government doesn't care and they are more concerned about the person or persons selling the fireworks, importing the fireworks, than about us citizens who are distressed and traumatized by it.
Let's talk a little bit about the impact that it continues to have on animals. I know that there's a concern up at the zoo, but I also know, and we see evidence of this whenever there are events and explosives are used, fireworks are used, usually the morning after. We see dead animals all over the nation's highways and byways.
Right, so that is one part of it, the dead animals, because they get very scared and they just run. You know, they run wild and they're crossing the road, the highways and so on, and they get run over. And that, by the way, can cause a serious accident. So humans will be involved in that, right? But the other part of it is trauma to, let's say, an elderly person who suffers with high blood pressure or heart problems or something. Somebody can get a heart attack. I know as a pharmacist, I could tell you the problems leading up before the celebrations and after. Customers, they have to come and buy pills, anxiety pills, pills to sleep, after the day after and after what's going on. People suffering from stress. They cannot sleep, they cannot eat. Parents have children traumatized. Autistic children, they are, they're uncontrollable. It is really, really a very, very deleterious effect on people's health.
So then what's the next step? You have said that these discussions have been going on for the past 19 years. and there has been really no resolution to it. I know that also there is a great concern among the elderly these days about noise pollution. So then, as I said, what's the next step?
Well, we were really hoping that by now, as I told you, the last meeting was August last year. A year has passed. Nothing coming from the AG's office. And I really, sometimes I wonder about us, if we are progressing or if we are going backward. Because you would think the government and those in authority would want to encourage people to respect other people, to be more caring, compassionate. But they are instead encouraging the opposite. That's why we have so much crime in the country. It's all related, the behavior of people. And if Minister Stagram thinks that violence is part of our culture, well, I would want to say that maybe crime now, murders and so on, if you want to compare the both, are part of our culture now too. I don't know what the other stakeholders intend to do, and I don't know if the AG's office is going to have another meeting with us. I mean, tomorrow is late already. They're going to have the fireworks. And the zoo. I want to mention the zoo here because they lost, one of the kangaroos to the fireworks. And the person who represented them spoke very, she spoke very harshly about the other animals that affected, the birds and so on. And I would think the zoo would be very, persistent in this matter. Because every year the display is right there by the zoo. What is the zoo doing about it? We don't have much say in it unless we go out there and protest or something, which, by the way, we have been protesting. I was checking it almost 13 years, Every year we protest, except during COVID, we didn't have any protest. And it seems even that isn't doing anything. It's all old talk, old talk.
So then really, the citizenry at this time, as we speak, they really don't have any new options available to them.
No options, and Diwali is coming. It really starts from Diwali, Diwali and straight on until Old Year's. And the problem is that the sale is so prevalent. It's all over. You can buy it. You can keep it. You can set it off any time, any day. It doesn't even have to be Old Year's or Diwali. People are very wicked and they don't care about their neighbors or anybody. They do it for fun. And they are enjoying it, but at whose expense? And we had the recent, maybe 2 years ago when the houses burned down in Laventille or somewhere. Yeah, Port of Spain. So many people lost their houses and belongings, and I don't know how we don't have a loss of life yet. I'm not saying that's what we need, but I just hope we don't reach to that point.
Yeah. Ms. Dial, anything else you'd like to share with us before you leave us this morning?
Yes, well, I like to tell the people who engage in setting off fireworks to be a little more compassionate to their neighbors, to the animals, the environment. Obey the law. You're not supposed to be doing that in residential areas. And to the AG's office, we really need to hear from you what is your proposal you intend to come with, because we had the meetings with you all and we all suggested either a display out on the waterfront on a barge or a total ban of fireworks now to the public. We have reached to that point now.
NALINI Dial, President of the Fireworks Sufferers Association, thank you very much for speaking with us this morning.
Thank you. You're welcome.
All right. Okay, so we are heading to another break, but we do have this image for you of the national flag. We're coming back.